Everybody good? I see you're muted on the Zoom. There we go. You're muted. There. I can hear you fine now.
We do things when you're not here. We play music.
Yeah, I thought so. Something. 1 minute.
Oh, Betty Jackson. Okay, we'll call to order the monthly meeting USD 379 school board. First thing up, approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? 5-0.
Aye.
I didn't. Tracy,
Yep.
are you there?
Yeah. All in favor.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, guess we don't have any guests tonight. Communications.
Jeff, you might want to just make note that you're
Okay,
participating. But
yeah, make note that Tracy's on Zoom. And Jason is absent, unable to Zoom, so we'll have Tracy zooming in on the speaker there. Okay, moving on. Nobody for the citizens open forum. So on to the consent agenda. Any questions? One of the buildings had some pretty significant bills to Iron Insurance Partner.
Deductible by him.
What's that?
That's a deductible by him policy.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor? Tracy?
Aye.
Hello?
Yes, I approve.
6-0. We're good, 6-0. Next, okay, donations. Got a list there.
They were.
That's part of it. Okay, I'm
down
in the
to-
wrong spot.
8-1 board reports.
Yeah, board reports. Anybody got any board reports going on? Anybody?
Say shout out for the landscaping's looking good around the buildings up in here, Clay Center. I haven't seen Wakefields, but you can see they're been putting a lot of early hours in.
Okay, Tracy, you got anything?
So same thing. The landscaping's looking really good. Appreciate the work.
Okay. Next be soup report.
I won't read anything in there, but just a quick update on 334. It's not in here, but I got an email at some point Friday or today, I can't remember, but they are working on moving forward on the property boundary changes. There has been some challenges, specifically as it relates to the legal descriptions, not just for our district boundary, but for the boundaries of all the districts involved. Evidently, back in the 60s, when we all unified, they didn't do legal boundaries. And KSD is saying that's what we need. They need whoever's responsibility would view it. Our original agreement was that 334 would take care of all that, because they were the district that was dissolving. That's gotten a little bit more complicated because it's a lot more work than anyone thought it was gonna be. And so we're meeting tomorrow or Wednesday as a group to kind of hash some of that out a little bit. It's a pretty tight timeline because it does have to go to the state board, and it also has to be voted upon by the patrons of 334. And that would happen at the November election. And so I visited with Dusty a little bit this week and asked for his help on kind of where should our stance as a district be? Whose job is it to do this? Are they anywhere? I've talked to our county Razor. Yeah, the county. They couldn't, as of today, couldn't find anything on actual legal description. So stay tuned on that. We'll keep working on it. Keep in mind, the thing that we'll have to really decide is if, for example, if we would say we're not going to do legal descriptions, we're not going to pay for it, a couple of the other districts would. 334 could say, fine, we're not doing it either. And then the dissolvement of their district then goes in the hands of the state. And so we would be told what boundary we're taking versus having some voice in it. And it's obvious pros and cons to that, mostly cons in my opinion. And so I'll just keep you guys updated with what I learned and kind of how it continues to progress. Any questions on that? I know we've been talking about this for a year.
So where did Clifton come up with the boundaries when we did that land swap last year?
It was, our agreement was, it was their baby to take care of, so.
Right, but they know a boundary between us and them, whoever. I mean, there's gotta be something,
We know boundary, I mean, we know what our.
but there's just
district
no
boundary-
legal description.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've visited with Brett about, I mean, because KSB or the state board is saying you need to have this survey. Well, I can't imagine you're gonna go survey miles and miles and miles of district boundary. I think it's more just need to come up with, south to Highway 24, then west along Highway 24. I mean, I don't think it has to be a
Does our
survey
county- does our
description.
County have a legal descript for the boundaries of the county? Cause that's, our school district is Clay County,
Yeah, I don't know.
you know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean,
I
I
mean,
just
that's-
can't imagine I can't imagine, I
Other
mean, the
than what we-
description is gonna be by section, township rank.
Right,
And so,
that's why I was just kind of thinking, we did that a year ago or whatever we did with them, somebody had to find a
Yeah.
boundary line somewhere somehow. As far as that goes.
And I think my understanding is when we did that with 224, they were just doing a little quarter section. It was pretty easy to plug a legal description in there,
exchange this one for that.
send it on to the county clerks and you're done. I think my understanding of the challenge is the scope of the boundary change is just so big. And so many people involved, or not people, but so many districts involved. But we'll keep working on it and let you know what we can work with.
Brent, for instance, on this updated this February 2025, just draft only. And that's that one that we went to the meeting about. Is the scope still similar to this right here for what?
Same.
Okay, I thank you.
Yep, it's, none of that has changed. It's about how to get that done legally.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next is, you're up, Anita.
Any questions?
Any questions on Anita's report?
Thank you for all you've done, Anita. Appreciate it.
Well, we have a new assistant that will be starting next week, so hopefully, guess now. It's been a busy week.
Okay. Any other questions for Anita? All right, Jacqueline, you're up.
All right, if you have any questions on the first page, let me know, but I wanted to just talk federal funds and kind of answer any questions you might have there. So we were notified on July 3rd. Of some federal updates, so let's start with the good news. It looks like the ESSER funds will be reinstated, or I should say, unpaused is the better way to say that. So I am turning in our final group of teachers that need to go through the letters training. I believe it's a group of 12. And so we will get those names in there, and the cost for that license will come out of the ESSER fund. So that's good. As far as federal funds, I have the amounts written in here, but I'm gonna pass this around. And what I did was I took this came from KSDE, so there's 42.9 million that's being reviewed. I like the word better, reviewed. But I went and wrote ours in purple out to the side so you can see. So there's 5 funds that are being reviewed, and we received 3 of the 5. So the Title 2A is our teacher and leader supports, and I kind of put a description in there. That's roughly 45,000. The Title 4 Part A, that is our academic enrichment, and that's 20,000. And then our Title 4 Part B is our 21st century after school programs. So the other federal fund, there's 2 others that we received. One is Anita's special ed stuff that she manages. The other part is our Title I, which pays for our intervention teachers, and those 2 were left as is. And so the 3 funds that we are affected by they are being reviewed, and we can start the year spending our carryover, because I was carried over the max that we could in funds 2A and 4A. So we will use our carryover, and then once that's done, we will go into like fund 26, whatever we may need. I believe we will know more about this review before we get to the end of first semester. And if we are awarded the funds back, it's probably pretty fair that we need to make plans on not receiving those in just the next fiscal year. So we're already looking at where to take those expenses, what maybe needs to be discussed, that needs to not be an expense anymore, anything we can remove. The 21st century grant, we were on year 5 for Lincoln and Garfield, and that was 70,000. And I had last week kind of heard some rumblings that actually might be the first one released back, but we haven't officially heard that yet. We do have enough in local, we collect a local fee. We have over the last 4 years, and we keep that in reserve for the last year. So we feel confident we have enough to definitely operate the after school program first semester. I really think in the next 2 months, we'll know more about all of these, and that will just help with future planning. no decisions or anything of that nature have to be made right now, but we're fine to get started even with the pause that is on them right now. It'll just be moving forward. And part of that is because we spend the money we're given in the spring to start the new school year. So I used last year's money to start us for this school year. So when next spring rolls around, it'll be, what do we have to start for next school year? So I'm thankful we operate in that practice. And so everything we had for last year helps us for this year. So, well, I do think we'll know more in the next couple months. Other good news though, as far as the federal conversation, our Perkins grants for career and tech ed equipment and supplies was not affected by this. And our E-rate was not affected by this, so. That is really good. I put at the bottom my just kind of closing thoughts that. You know, we knew we were gonna have to make decisions about the after-school program. And we'll know if there's a grant, I would suppose by January, those funds will be available for us to apply for, and if not. It'll be a discussion item for you guys to definitely have. As far as the other two funds, you know, the 4A, which is the academic enrichment. I never tied up a yearly subscription or a yearly commitment to that. That was always based on the school year, what needs we had. We can live without that. We can definitely live without that. The teacher and leader support would be more challenging. That's how we pay for mentors, required trainees. All of our teachers have to renew their license every 5 years, and we offer that professional learning that comes with it, and that's where a lot of that comes from. So that one would be a little harder and be a little more challenging to plan for, but again, I hope we'll know more in the next few upcoming months. The only other thing I had to add is I am hopeful we have a driver's ed teacher. So not sure what that'll look like yet. Her and I need to look at that, and I did apply for some support for families that financially qualify to get a partial reimbursement if they complete the course. I went ahead and did the application, not knowing if we'd have the teacher or not, but looks promising that we will. I'm not sure how many we'll be able to offer to or what that all, we're gonna try to get that kind of hashed out in the first couple of months of school. So by fall parent teacher conferences, we can let families know what we can and can't offer. So. Any questions?
I have a question on the letters training. Is that just within the district, or is that going to go out and train other districts?
Well,
letters?
It depends on what their requirements are. The intention and purpose was for me to just train our people.
Okay.
But I need to see if it's gonna work and what the requirements are. When I originally had signed up, when Esther's was gonna pay for it, it was in June, and it's just an hour drive for the whole week. I just went back and forth, got trained in a week. And then I had to have 10 participants. Well, I had these 12. That whole thing, you know, fell through. And so, but if I would get trained, it would primarily be for our people, but if we host it outside, we could charge them. So.
Anything else for Jacqueline? While we're talking, I just got a question. What have we done? What are we doing for our health insurance for our people? Approved anything or any company or any pricing or that we did?
No, that was last month. Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Before, we approved Blue Cross Blue Shield.
So
I thought we did the 125 plan, but I didn't think we did Blue Cross Blue Shield. Pretty sure we did. That's, if we did, that's fine. I just,
Yeah, but just.
I thought we approved the 125 deal, but I didn't know Blue Cross was part of that.
It is gonna be Blue Cross and Blue Shield, we'll continue paying for what was known as option C. No changes to what our employees see. There will be the same healthcare provider be the same deductible, all of that kind of stuff. And I think it's like an extra $2 per person maybe, or something along those lines, but it was relatively flat fees. And so, everything will be in place. Our employees have been notified of when they can set up a consultation appointment with a counselor.
I got a notice today. I'm supposed to make my appointment.
Did you?
I did. I don't know why I get those, but maybe they send everyone, send them to everybody.
Did you get it on email or text?
I got a text and an email.
It's because you're in there as a contact of, well, you're in there as a board member on
Yeah.
Power School, and we send it to all staff, so.
I say, cause I get a lot of that stuff.
We may not pay for your health insurance.
I wanna get my appointment set up. Okay, but moving on.
Before you go on,
Yes,
I did not previously put the motions as like in that box. They're on the reports, but I hadn't put them in those recommended motion boxes I have now. So if it doesn't show on here, you can refresh it.
okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay, moving on to discussion business items. Revenue neutral.
Yeah, there's a lot here, so I won't bore you with reading. I'll just try to hit the highlights. As you know, we're declining. We lost 60 students last year. We're expecting to lose about that many again this year. And that did have a significant impact on our state aid and bond LOB and capital outlay. And so, and one thing to remember too tonight, like, is all we're doing is approving a rate. We're not adopting the actual budget. You guys will do that in a couple of months. So this new law changed 3 or 4 years ago, and we have to get these really early to the county clerk now by July 20th. This year, it's July 18th, I think. But so that they can publish R&R. And we've talked about this for several years. If you would choose not to exceed revenue neutral, whatever rate you publish, you cannot change. The clerk cannot assess us any more revenue, even if we have higher tax collections. And so, just like you guys did last year, even though we didn't technically exceed, you still voted or published to exceed. Because remember, that assessed valuation and those tax rates are all an estimate. That's what we build our budget off of, and they always do change. And so by exceeding or publishing to exceed, it does allow us the autonomy to collect anything that was estimated the wrong direction. And so anyhow, just a reminder that we're not adopting the budget, we're just adopting a rate to be published. And then when you adopt the budget, that'll be formally what you adopt. And so, but it's a very, very close look at what you can expect in the budget, especially in your levy funds, bond, capital outlay, and LOB. It really hit us hard in the bond fund. You'll see that we were around 6 mils and we're looking at 6.8. Well, we lost about 120,000 in state aid in the bond fund. And so when we don't collect that aid from the other districts to assess the exact same mill, we have to collect more taxes. And to collect more taxes, you got to raise the mill rate. And so we have one payment left. And if we don't collect enough in the bond fund, we don't make our bond payment. It stinks because we have very little control over it. We can't control that state aid rate. And it really hurt this year. And LOB, remember last January, you guys voted to do the resolution to go to 33%. And we published it, did its 45 days. And that allowed us the authority to go to 33% LOB. We're very close in this, both the proposals that I showed you, and B, it's a max 33%. In option A, I had to manually deduct our collections to try to stay at a more, what I felt like was a more reasonable and favorable rate for our taxpayers. It still does get very close to maximizing LOB, but it doesn't maximize it to its fullest extent. Just know when you don't maximize that to its fullest extent, you lose aid money. We're at 31% this year, so 31 cents for every dollar we don't collect in LOB. We don't bring in that 31% from the other districts. But it does keep us still way below the state average. State average is 53 point something. I wrote it in here. And that keeps us still in that 49 range. Within a similar range of where we've been in the past. In capital outlay, the same is true. Last year, we levied a 6 mils in capital outlay. This year, option A is actually A and B are both at 6. But remember, even though we're taking 6 mils and 6 mils, to generate the revenue to fund 6 mils, we have to make up for what we lost in state aid. And we dropped about 8-9% in state aid and capital outlay too. So to raise the dollars for 6 mils in capital outlay, we have to make up for that around 100,000, maybe a little more, maybe a little shy. I can't remember exactly, but it's around 100,000 that we lost in state aid and capital outlay too. So when you don't bring that aid in, the only way to collect that revenue is to collect more taxes. And so I put an enrollment projection in there too. That's pretty scary, but it's, I think, probably pretty factual. We need to plan on probably, my best guess is in the next 5 years will be a 0% state aid district. I don't think we'll receive any state aid in the next 3 to 5 years, would be my guess. A lot of factors and variables could change that. But if we keep declining enrollment at this rate, we're gonna be richer and richer in comparison to the other 268 or the median 50th percentile district, which means that we'll probably be a 0% state aid district because our assessed valuation per pupil will continue to go up. It did help a little bit this year that assessed valuation decreased by about 700,000. So that helped our assessed valuation per pupil stay down a little bit, but it wasn't enough to offset the loss of enrollment. And so if there's a good news in the equation, once you do get to a 0% state aid district, that unknown factor of state aid is no longer there because you're not banking on it to fund your mill levy. It stinks though, because you're not bringing in those free dollars. You know, we're funding our district with state aid money and other people's money. But anyhow, I do think if everything stays the same and, you know, all the districts in the state continue to do what they have done the last few years with assessed valuation. The farm ground is the eight-year average. That's why we had the decrease in assessed valuation, because that 8-year average is going down. That will help us if that keeps going down a little bit. But I still don't think it will ever be enough to offset the loss of 50 or 60 kids a year. And so if you look at those two options there, and again, those are our levied funds. It shows the mill rate last year, the mill rate this year, total dollars taxes levied. Remember, that's an estimate too, but it's usually fairly close. I think I know which one I would vote on, but I wanted you guys to have two options to look at. So happy to take questions.
Brett, on my understanding on this, on the option A, going back to actually both options, is that, this is the estimate of exceeding the R.
They both exceed R&R.
Now, do we have another option showing, for instance, what it would be currently right now to not exceed R&R?
No, we do not. And the biggest reason was our bond fund. If we don't exceed R&R, there's a high likelihood we don't collect enough to make our bond payment because of the loss of state aid. You could, and just to be completely transparent, you could manually deduct LOB by $250,000 and do 33% of 250,000, and that's what you'd lose in state aid. So you could manually reduce LOB by that amount to be R&R, But then we'd be giving up. I'm doing high level map ballpark, 1,000-foot view, but you'd be giving up $75,000 in state aid. And that would be the only way to truly go R&R and keep our bond rate high enough to make your payment because of the loss of state aid. It hurt in base aid per pupil, and it hurt in the loss of an enrollment. It hurt in our expenses versus our revenue, and now it hurts in aid. When you decline as much as we declined in enrollment, it's painful.
I'd just like to remind everybody, if we to exceed the R&R doesn't mean that we're going to. It just is an option. We'll have to still do the budget that, like Brett said, and this is something that we did a year ago, just in case, in a worst case scenario. So it doesn't mean that we're going to, but we can if things doesn't come back the way we should. The one thing I would add about the evaluations, Brett, is though we don't know what other districts are doing either. I mean, there's got to be other districts that are losing a bunch of students also, so that'll affect where our appraised value per student also will fit into all the other state. Not that I understand what you're saying about the worst case scenario, but I'm sure there's other districts that are losing students also that plays a part in all that also. Is that correct, Brett? We're ranked.
Yeah, it starts at the median district, so the district's at that 50th percentile, and if that district goes down, we all go down. If that district goes up, we all go up. And unfortunately, I don't know a way to forecast it or
Right.
estimate it other than in
Sure.
general. Yeah.
Right.
Project high and hope you don't spend it all.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Brett on this?
So based on that, Jeff, then I'll move to give final approval to proceed with budget option B. And authorize district staff to submit estimated tax rates to the county clerk as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
So what's the final?
Option
What's
B,
that? Yeah. What's that final rate on? Mine's so small on my screen. I apologize.
it's like 3/4 of a mil more than option A.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
realistic, it's about $110,000 more in collected taxes. Three
Yeah.
quarter mil,
Okay.
49,
Yeah.
50.6. So, you're looking
Yeah.
3/4 of.
Okay. I didn't know which one I'd read them. The A and B, I couldn't tell. So yeah, I'm fine with that too.
I'm back to, project high and hope you don't spend it. I mean, that's the only thing we can do.
With the
And
loss of students, that's where we're at.
yeah. So I have a motion to accept option B in a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? How about you, Tracy?
Yep, I'm in favor.
So 5-1. Or all those opposed? You opposed? So 5-1. Motion carries. Moving on to the next, bond planning.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say. You have a presentation, you have the spreadsheets. We've been talking about it for a few months. I think from my vantage point, I think to keep you guys moving would be to spend some time tonight on the higher cost pieces of some of these estimates and try to garner some opinions, some direction, some fine tuning of where the 7 of you feel like we should be headed. And so obviously the biggest, one of the larger expense items would be an option to consolidate buildings in Clay Center. From my vantage point, as we continue to deal with enrollment loss and try to also stay up to pace with safety and security pieces that we know, and some higher maintenance costs that we know we can't handle exclusively with capital outlay, would be to look at options to consolidate buildings. Buildings are our biggest expense. we talked about lots of different options there. So kind of the way I see it is with that bigger chunk would be, there's kind of three options on the table, and I'll just put them out there and then let you guys talk. One would be consolidate buildings, get rid of this building, move all centralized services to Garfield and preschool. Have a K-5, get rid of the mobile units at Lincoln that host 3 classrooms. And have a K-5 district office pre-K. Option B would be leave things kind of the way they are. And addition wise, get rid of this still, do a few things. Or not, sorry, not get rid of this, but get rid of the mobile units. Do a smaller addition just to replace the classrooms that we're losing. And then one would be, option 3, don't talk consolidation at all. And have a purely a maintenance bond and just stay status quo, but just know we will have to spend a significant amount of money. In this facility to get it where it needs to be for the next 10 or 15 years. So those I don't know what questions you have there, but in my mind, those are kind of the 3.
I'm gonna throw
The
out another option.
Sure.
After last month.
Yeah.
And I brought up, and you got on there, that's gonna take about 2.5 million, 2 to 2.5 million to build a new board office. Back in consolidation days, when they built Clay Center High School, it was built for 600 students. Last year, we had 330 in there. I would propose to move the 7th and 8th grade down to 712 building. Move the 4th and 5th grade to the middle school, have a 4, 5, 6. Leave Lincoln alone. Build a new board office, get rid of this building and Garfield. We eliminate 2 buildings. And I think we have room in those buildings to do that personally. Still do the bus barn and the access, still do the driveways and everything like that we talked about. Still do the security stuff that we talked about. We could cut about 2.5 million off of the projected 13.5 that we got sent to this week. Just throwing it out there as another option. There's plenty of room for the number of students we have. And if enrollment's dropping, and it's not only here, it's in Wakefield as well, but I think we still have room to do that personally, but maybe that's not an option anybody wants to look at. So just throwing it out.
Yeah, well, I think what we're doing tonight, I want to take the time and is for people to throw out their ideas on each one. And then, so you all are aware, and I think you know this, I think it came through Friday notes, is that we did have another general contractor crew go through the facilities and look at some of the projects, and they're going to just another set of eyes on it, and they're going to be at the August meeting to fill us in with their ideas and what they see. So I think it's important we get another set of eyes on what's going on. But I just think it's important tonight, Jeff. I appreciate that opinion, and that's what we need to do is throw that out there, give everybody on the board a chance to throw out their opinions, and so in August we hear from those other people, and we can really get this pared down and see if there's some type of consensus on it. As long as everybody can hear me, I'll tell you mine is that I do like the idea of consolidating. I don't like the idea of going to the public and asking them for money to build a new administrative office. To me, that's not money going to the classroom. And so I think that the plan that is in place, A is fine with me. I think we can cut some things. When he talks about the plan B of not consolidating and just replacing the classrooms at Lincoln, we wouldn't have to expand the lunchroom and that, but it is a priority to me. I think we need to get rid of the portables. And so I'm not completely opposed to B, but we'd have the same number of buildings. And, when you get rid of buildings, you lower your yearly cost. And that estimate of $500,000 to prepare Garfield for the board office, I think, between personnel savings, insurance on the building savings, utility cost savings, maintenance savings on the building. I think that's a lot better than building a new SAC thing. And then lastly, the last one is, there is an appetite out there, and I thought we need to talk about it, just doing strictly maintenance. Personally, I think if we do option A or B, we can set the district up for a while with our capital outlay plan for 10 to 15 years. I think we would be really solid. I just think we have so many things that's fallen behind. And I don't want to do just a or this is my opinion, to do really just a maintenance base and we get into a big dollar amount and we spread it over 12 or 15 years just to do maintenance. If we do go the maintenance route, I'd like to find a way to keep that at 10 years or less, just because it is maintenance stuff. So that's kind of my opinion on the three tonight. The other thing that I would encourage everybody to do is that we're going to need alternatives, ideas to do. One of them that's come up and people have approached us is extending the parking lot at the district gym as possibly an alternative. If something comes back and it's too expensive, or we do the bond, we got money at the end, what are those projects to spend that money on? And so I'd like for y'all to put some thought into that. There's that thought. I know another person on the board has been approached about asking if we would be interested in doing the arches, that entryway plan that the previous board did to try to raise money at the new stadium. I think that's a tough sell, in my opinion, for a new bond. And it is in the works. We're going to put an address marker up there. I visited with Craig and Brett, and that's going to get done. That'll have the plaque from Otto Unruh Stadium, and it'll be really nice. And I think that's, for where we're at, that's a lot better contribution to fit our system financially, and not put district dollars into an entryway. A couple other things for alternatives was LED lighting, the ceiling tiles, the Wakefield track. How's that all going to fit in with how, options, how expensive that is, and there's other things I'm sure you all have. So for August, for the August meeting, I'd like for you to think about the alternatives too. But that's I think there are three good options over the next meeting for us to talk about. But I really would like everybody to share their opinions tonight and see where we're at. So when we hear any additional information in August from the other general contractors, we can really narrow this thing down if at all possible. So I appreciate hearing your opinions, and I appreciate Jeff sharing that option.
So our option, I'm gonna call them A, B, and C, 1, 2, 3, I don't know. Are those all in this packet? Because I can't make out which option is which.
No. I mean,
Really?
all we're doing so what's in the packet is A. B is simply, we're not going to do the relocation part. I think it'll save around $2 million off of it, but everything else would be the same. The only thing that would be different, according to this, would just be what we would do construction wise. All the other projects would be the same. And then C would be, those projects in there, just take out all the construction. The maintenance would be those, and then whatever we can add to it to decide what dollar amount we want to go with. So that's the three options, but they're all based off of this one right here that's presented, the big one, and then it's cutting it down each step.
Well, Tracy, by chance, that general contractor, that second one that you stated come by, did they happen to at least do a observation of the SAC building that we're in right now?
Yeah.
No, we did not have we did not have them look at the SAC building, Dave.
Tracy, they
We
did.
could.
Tracy,
Oh, you did that before I got there or after?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So sorry, Dave, I was wrong. I wasn't a part of that part of the tour.
That's
But
fine.
I was at all the other buildings.
Okay, and it'll be in that presentation also on what
They're going to be here. They're going to be here in August to share with us face to face their thoughts of what they found.
Okay, great.
Just so we have a second set of eyes that have looked at it.
Okay.
But I was with them, Dave, all the rest of the day through all the other facilities. I participated in all of it, except for the SAC, okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
I think it's time to ask the community, to get input and not necessarily not black and white, but like get their general consensus. How do they feel about which one weighs heavier on them, moving 4 or 5 down to Lincoln or moving 7, 8 up to high school? Or how important is it to them that we don't touch Garfield? I mean, Garfield building is one of the most foundest buildings we have in this town, I would think, as exhibited by the fact that we can't make it handicap accessible because of how it's built. So maybe that's one reason why I kind of like the idea of moving the SAC over there, because it is so structurally sound. It should be able to give us, you know, a few more decades because it was built so well. This building was what, a barn to begin with? What I understand a long time ago is the ag building, so it served its purpose, but it's time for us to let it go. But that's just our opinions. Like, I really just want to hear even just a
Sure.
rough estimate of how the community feels about this. And I feel like each month we keep saying, oh, we'll ask them in a while, we'll ask them in a while, we're running out of time. How many more months are we gonna hash it out and then get the public input and find out that they don't agree with us at all,
Right.
or they have a better idea? So
Well, my thing is, I'm hoping in August we can go to 3, have the 3 op things, and which ones, you know, if we can say which ones we prefer, if we can. If not, we've got the outlines. I would say to go with that, Lynn, is, you know, moving classes around is Brett, you know, the capacity stuff. We would like to, that's an information thing, you know, for the next meeting, if you would look at that. Because I do want to respect everybody's opinions, and we do need to look at all the options. But yeah, that's my thing. After August, then, you know, we talk about 1st September going to the public, and this is what we're thinking and getting everybody's opinion on it. So, but yeah, I don't disagree, Linda.
I do like the idea too of giving them 3 options. I like that one of them is the very bare minimum maintenance, but with the understanding that that's not gonna last us very long. You know, that's just gonna get us the bare minimum. And then maybe with,
But yeah, but some of those maintenance things have been put off for 25 years.
yeah,
Right,
I mean,
right.
I've been on this board for 32 years and we've talked about placing our gym floor for 32 years.
yeah,
You know, and parking lot, we've never ever done anything to Clay Center parking lot, except for took the islands out because the snowplow hit them where the lights were in the middle of the parking lot. And Clay Center Middle School's 26 years old. We've never done anything that, but it's at that time that those big ticket items, those are the things that we gotta do. And if it's a maintenance bond, I mean, put everything in there, put everything in
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you're.
I agree.
yeah, Put it at about $10 million and do it for 10 years or whatever
Right.
and move forward. But there's some of those things that we've been talking about forever. I mean,
Yeah.
and I mean forever.
Hmm.
So. I mean, and I'm not opposed to doing just a maintenance bond because there's no other way that we can do some of that stuff. As far as
Right.
that goes. And
Right.
especially those 3 things I just said, middle school parking lot, high school parking lot, and the high school gym and bleachers. There's no way we could do those capital outlay.
No.
None
Right.
whatsoever.
Right.
So if we have
Yep.
air conditioning units that we think we're gonna replace in 2 years or 3 years, put them on there.
and
You
that
know.
would change our capital, or 5 or.
That changed our
10
10-year
too, 'cause
plan
then
on the
that-
capital outlay. I mean, as far as that goes, you know, and
Yep.
you get down to some of that other stuff. I mean, there's just some things that, you know, there's no other way to do it. As far as
Right.
that goes.
That's right or wrong. I like the idea, if we do maintenance only, it be 10 years and it tie in with the 10-year capital outlay plan yeah, I agree. Do as much as we can and take care of a lot of those things.
You know, 10 years down the road, the student population output might be a whole different story.
Yeah,
Well, it
So
might, yeah, 3 years it might be with what we're
5.
dealing with.
3
you
or
know.
5 may change
Yeah.
drastically.
Yep.
And.
Yep.
You know, so I don't know, you know, and I'm not saying it will or it won't, but that's something to think about, I guess.
I feel like.
Yep.
Because I keep coming back and forth on like what I picture the vision to be for this, but when I think of the priorities, one is to maintain the buildings that we have so we don't run into the problem we had with auto unruh where it had disintegrated so much that we couldn't afford to fix it. So what do we need to do to maintain the good buildings that we have? Number two, get rid of the portables for the safety's sake. And then three, just being as efficient as possible, fiscally responsible as possible.
How many classrooms, how many sections? Kindergarten is gonna have 3, first grade's gonna have 3, and second grade next year will have 3.
Second grade's 4, and third grade's 4.
K1 will have
Preschool.
Okay.
Preschool,
preschool 3, K3, 1, 3, all the rest 4.
So 2 and 3 will have 4. So by the time the bond issue comes around, a year and a half from now, you're gonna have 3 sections in all but 1 grade there. Right?
That's our estimation.
Well, I'm just thinking about portable classrooms. You got empty classrooms now. We can get rid of one of them tomorrow. Or that goes.
Is it feasible to do a pre-KK at Garfield? Or is that just not a model that really makes sense?
It's not. No, because you can't get ADA accessibility to the second.
And there aren't enough on the first floor.
That's the hard part with Garfield is it's a great building, but when you only have the 8 rooms and 2 of them are on the second floor, it makes it tough. And just inefficient, in my opinion, having a building that only houses 2 grades from an efficiency standpoint. We're just, I believe, leaving a lot of potential dollars to put other places on the table. Fewer buildings, traveling staff, the duplication of staff, like, in my mind, if you can consolidate to attendance centers, you can get a lot of bang for your buck and save money down here while getting rid of a facility. And I think there's lots of scenarios. We've talked about tons of different things, and capacity is a big thing. Most of our buildings were built, our newest building was built in the 90s, right? All the rest were 60s and older. Well, they weren't designed to house special education. It takes a lot of square feet and a lot of space to serve kids. And you look at any new build of an elementary or newer in the last decade, that is the biggest change. You have a significant addition of square feet to serve students with disabilities. Just takes a lot more time and space. And then you throw in the ADA accessibility piece. I think what we were.
And I will say to give the previous school board some credit is that even though this last general contractors, when they walked through the buildings, they were very pleased with the condition of the buildings, the bones and the shape of the building. So it's our job to continue to do that and what fits best for our students and our taxpayers.
And I think especially like at our middle schools and high schools, what we were offering 50 years ago in regards to courses and electives and CTE, they didn't exist. And we offer a lot more of those things now, and they take a lot more square feet. So like Jeff, I looked at that too, and it's like, well, in the 40 years ago, we were serving X amount of kids. And this year, now we're serving X amount. Well, we're also offering a lot more programming and required programming too, that we weren't offering back then.
Well,
But I can look
I
at,
still think there's room in both facilities to do that myself, but that's just me. You know,
and I'll
I
have
like the consolidation thing at Wakefield for the last 40 years. So, or even longer than that. Since I was in high school, they talked about closing or consolidating Wakefield. And I'm just telling you, there's a way to do some things, and with the dropping in enrollment, it's not just here. But I'm just saying I think we have a potential to get rid of a couple buildings if we think about that.
Yeah.
You know, and I know the numbers going into Clay Center High School are gonna be less than they were last year, because that senior class was huge. And it's gonna be that way the next couple of years, because there was a few of them classes that were at Garfield and in middle school, there weren't that many kids in. So I think there's room You know, like I say, supposedly, it was always said that high school building was built for 600 students. And,
Right.
you know, what, 335 in there last year, maybe 340? So you got room for 260 more, and there's not that many in the 7th and 8th grade. And in the middle school would be, you could definitely handle the 145 kids that were at Garfield, or 160 or whatever was there. I'm not opposed to that, but I have a hard time of adding on to Lincoln and putting more students, more staff, more vehicles, more parents, more everything in that block. I have a hard time with that, especially with our bus barn and the things we want to do with that bus barn. I just have a hard time putting another 140 kids in that building and more staff in that building, less parking availability and, you know, less outdoor space. And I'm sure we're gonna get rid of some portable classrooms, but still the space is getting pretty condensed for the area we have there.
I hate to throw out another idea, but could it be a K4 and a 5-8? Is that setup feasible?
Say that again.
K4 and 5-8.
At some point too, you're gonna reach some restrictions on your licensing for teachers.
That's what I'm saying. That's,
Too, so,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
not that it can't be overcome or whatever, but.
And I wondered for
Some of
child
that
development too, because that is not my expertise on where is it more difficult to blend those kids? Where is it easier?
and I'd be curious, you know, how much do we spend for Garfield? Electricity, water, insurance, maintenance. You know, if we were to eliminate that building, what we would save and where we could spend it somewhere else. Even this building here, and $2.5 million seems a stretch on a new building, but I'll go with that. But you know, if you build a new board office, and I know it's public money, but you know, it takes the board office to make everything else work. You know, the people in this building are the ones making the people in charge of the other buildings, making the, you know, it's a trickle down effect, but. I'd be curious of what we spend on that building as far as insurance and that kind of stuff. Because if we could save that and whatever we spend on this building, that would offset $2.5 million new board office. As far as that goes,
But if you put the board office at Garfield, you still have the building.
this building here,
If you put this building at Garfield, you still have the building. You still
yeah,
have
well, we'd
taxes,
sell
insurance.
the building,
You still have everything to pay. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
I
if
mean, we
we
get rid of
emptied,
this one.
if we, if this building here, if we got rid of it, we'd sell it. I mean, to me, as far as that goes.
But you still have to heat and cool and electricity, and I mean, it's still the same building with less students or no students in it, so that
It would, yeah,
it's still there.
But you eliminate this building.
So it's one less building. We still be paying for Garfield, heating, air, insurance and all. that.
right, and the only way we get rid of Garfield is if we did the 4, 5, 6 and 7, 12. That's the only way we could do that.
I just know, I mean, every time we go through the facilities tour, we get to Garfield and it's like, there's little things here and little things there, but there aren't big problems. You know, I'm very impressed with that building structurally.
So you have a gymnasium in the middle of your district office. What do you do with that? Like, what would be the plan for something like that?
I think there's lots of different options. The pre-K, it'd be down there, they would use it. You could leave it open to the community. You could leave the back door open and you could allow the community to use it during the day to walk in, to use. I think there's all, and it would certainly remain open to the community in the evenings and the weekends for basketball gyms or whatever it is volleyball, whatever they use it for. So to me, it's still a gym that's used by the community.
The gentleman who came and talked to us for whatever time that was, and talked about senior center, making sure that was additional area open for seniors, citizens to be able to use, and a place for them to walk laps and do all of that. Is this still a
I mean,
possibility?
if you had a big meeting with a lot of the teachers or people in the conference or from their surrounding districts, that gym could also be used as setting up tables and then add in there for a big conference meeting to bring everybody to town. So I think there's several options there, but the main thing is everybody will tell you in a community, you do not give up gym space. There are the people.
Build 2 new ones.
What's that, Jeff?
Build 2 new ones.
And that's
Yeah.
still.
Yeah. You know, people are practicing outdoor sports year round and with basketball, and there's just not enough covered space as far as, you know, being a service to the community when it comes to gyms.
No, my big ticket item on that would be that, again, it's just a concern would be security. Is, I know that that was one of our priorities, for instance, would be, student staff security measures at our district facilities. I know that we've been discussing that. So that'd be something there too, if we, you know, to open that up to the community to use. You wouldn't want to do that, of course, during school hours when you got
Right.
students,
Right.
things
Right,
like that.
right.
Something, just a caveat.
No, right. Evenings and weekends, you know, Dave, but yeah, no doubt that would have to be addressed.
And there is like, in Manhattan, for example, with their 2 middle schools, they have community gyms that are open all day and they're still attached to the building. You just have a door that's locked during school hours so that they can still use the gym, but can't access the school. I think that's super doable. I think it's done in a lot of communities. And then in the evening, you can unlock those doors if they need access to the rest. But I think there's some super reasonable, not very expensive ways to control traffic flow to access that during the school day too. And the rest of the building operates. You just have it walled off to where they can't interact with it too. If you've never visited those in Anthony and Eisenhower and Manhattan, they're pretty cool.
How about others have any opinions that they want to express? Then we'll move on, and August will be the month of August will be important. But I would like to hear people's opinions or any other thoughts.
Just for my knowledge, how the 10-year capital outlay, our improvement plan, how does that get made? How do we decide what goes on that? Projecting 10 years down, and I see some items on, for example, the high school items on there. But how do they get placed on that plan?
Yeah, so generally in the past is what we do as a board is you guys approve the next year, 1 year at a time. But also the next 9 years beyond next year is all, we try to sketch out the deferred maintenance item for the next 9 years, knowing that those have to be moved and shifted every year to fit. But the ultimate goal, Shana, is to take every single deferred maintenance item that we might have to deal with in the next 10 years. And so right now that 10-year plan is very thin because I am waiting for you guys to decide, number one, are we doing the bond? Number two, what's in the bond? Once that decision's made, all of those projects get put into the bond. Then is what we take what's left over. Once that decision's made, that's the first step that has to be made. Once that's done, then we take all the rest of the items and we fit them by priority, by use of life, by how much life that particular item has, and we sketch it out in the next 10 years. But that beyond next year, so the next 9, those are gonna move fluidly from year to year based on use of life. Maybe you lose a roof, maybe a boiler goes back, you know, and then so you might have to do one big ticket item and then shift a couple over. But the idea would be by the end of this whole process, so you jump a year from now, if we were to pass a bond issue, that we would know what deferred maintenance items we're gonna get taken care of in the bond. And then that would allow us to plug everything else into the 10-year plan. We can't plug in everything into the 10-year plan yet because you guys haven't made the decision on what's gonna go in the bond first. But that's the ultimate goal.
And like these items are from either the building administration or when our roof guys come through and tell us.
Or
when
the
roofs
facility.
expire.
Yep.
All of our directors saying, oh, I'm gonna need some of these in 3 years down the road.
Exactly, yeah.
So for example, if let's see, there's a $500,000 roof for 2028. If it's for the middle school. So if we decided to put that on a bond instead, then that would free up $500,000 in the 2028 budget for other capital outlay projects. So we could get done with some stuff that are in 29 or 30. Or if we can use capital outlay to pay for that, then we won't have to use bond money to pay for it. It still has to get done one way or the other. We're just trying to be as efficient as possible with our money.
So is what I have written down for, take a look at some capacities and I'll get someone that's smarter than me to do that. And kind of plug in an idea of what it would look like. Explore some different options with moving some grade levels around and making sure we had capacity and the ability to do those. And report back to you guys on what that looks like. Is that fair?
They asked, does everybody agree that we need to get rid of the portables?
Yeah.
Is that pretty well black and white? Like,
Yes.
something we can give you for
I-
sure. We want to get rid of
Yes.
portable.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, yeah. I was in middle school back in the mid '80s, early '80s.
Now you're old.
Well, if I'm old, then that one portable was the library when I was at McKinley School, and it had been there for a few years before I got to McKinley School. So it's pushing 50 years old.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, yep. It's still got that like trailer refrigerated unit on the side of it to keep it cool. So I think we've gotten our money's worth in usage out of that. And but yeah, I would at least like to see us get rid of the portables and see what the capacity numbers are and what we have to do with that. So
Well, that at the same time, and that's something like, you know, what you're talking about at the same facility would be to move that aerial electric
Yeah,
transformer pad.
I think
Yeah.
that's our,
yeah, that's already in that plan, Dave. So yes, it's about $65,000. It's already in there. On that, it's already listed on that plan. No doubt that needs to get out of there.
That's already being worked on now, or that's in the bond plan?
No, that's what's in the bond plan. You'll see it under that. You'll see it. It says under Lincoln School. I got to get there.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
there are two things.
Relocate power underground, $63,000.
I'm having technical difficulties or else I would help you out with my computer guy that now
I found it.
Wait and see on that one, because if we were doing construction down there, that would have to be part of the, you'd have to move that anyway for the construction, and so.
Exactly. It may get eaten up in the other thing. Yes,
Yeah.
it may.
One spot or the other.
Right. But we listed it on there because if we don't do the construction, then that's one of the maintenance issues that needs to be taken care of.
Who come up with that number? Is that something Evergy or the city of Clay Center gave us to move that?
We don't have Evergy, so
No, I mean, but so it had to be a city.
right.
Center did?
And the cost greatly depends on if you were already moving service, if you were building, and so my opinion would be leave that alone until you guys decide
Right.
what you're gonna do or you're not gonna do with that, because you might risk duplicating efforts.
but look, we agree on two things,
There you go.
having that power in the portable.
And in my opinion, just my opinion, I think we deal with our roofs very well. I think we have a good process to do that. We don't. My opinion would be if you guys want to find a way to reduce your bond costs, would be to spread those roofs out, because there's lots of times we'll estimate a roof to have 3 to 5 years left, and we might get some more goodie out of it and get out to 8. And so my opinion would be not, continue that process. We've been relatively successful with that. The $500,000 roof you talk about is at the middle school. That's at that 5 years, that's an estimate, and that gets evaluated every year. And if you're not having problems and you can extend that and free up bond dollars, but that's one person's opinion.
Now, in the past, Brad, and around current also, the rush themselves on all of the building facilities, they've been basically funded out of capital outlay, is that correct?
Well, during my time, yes, but Jeff, Andy, you guys, I know during the last bomb, they tackled about just shy of 50% of the roofs. And so,
Yeah. Details talking about food.
my first year or two, we did $500,000 or more in insurance.
All right, thank you.
And the middle school roof is the original one from 93, 92, 93.
We put a coating on that one my first year.
Yeah, but I think it's the original.
It is, yep.
The only thing we had was when that was done, it blew off, part of it blew off, and they found out they didn't put it on right. So they came back and took it all off and did the right fasteners and everything, and put it all back on. But that was probably 4 or 5 years into that building, maybe, when that happened.
And they reproduce insurance money.
Yeah,
That's first month on the job.
yeah, first year Brett was here.
And then the next thing I have, what do we spend to operate Garfield, SAC? All of those buildings, what's the annual cost to operate those? Anything else that I missed that you guys want information for next month?
Tracy, anything you need?
No, those capacity numbers. Oh, yeah. The other thing, Brett, was you shared it with us before, but get us, our current numbers in each grade level. So we could see, how that's dropping off.
It's gonna be the start.
In those big classes that Jeff was talking about, and, where they're at in the system and all that. I know you shared that with us at one time. I looked for it and I couldn't find it, so.
Well, that revenue neutral thing had,
Incoming and outgoing.
incoming and outgoing in it tonight.
Okay. I just want to make sure we had that.
Yeah, it's, 24, had seniors going out and kindergarten coming in. That's where it showed between now and 29-30, we would lose
Okay.
100 kids.
But it'd be good to see where.
Oh,
where
sure,
bubbles
each,
are,
I
yeah.
would like to see if we
Yeah,
would
each
do that,
grade level.
4 or 5,
Yeah.
what would the 4, 5, and 6, and what would 7 through 12 be,
Right.
and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
That's just, yeah,
Right.
it'd be good to know.
Yeah. Or like say, I've brought up before too, and Linda's idea of, the 5 through 8 and K through 4 down there, if there's drops in students, it would allow us to, look at getting rid of a building too. So, but no, I don't need anything else, Brett.
Anything else on the bond information for tonight? Any other questions? Okay, do you want to talk about that 10-year capital outlay deal? Are we pretty well good on it since it was brought up? Do you have anything you want to say about it? We really can't plug anything into it till we figure out what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just, well, for one thing, Jeff, and I had some questions on that.
okay,
What I was looking at here is that just what, do we have a line item in here for, the Mac track repair and surface project? What's the projection on that since it?
Track, you just
10-year,
redid it.
15, 20-year
well,
average, I don't feel like I've never been aware of it.
well, the track repairs at Wakefield, by the time we do that, that'll be 15 years since that track was put in.
Okay,
That's pretty fair, 10 to 15.
Yeah.
okay, all right, thank you.
And then if you take care of them, that your 10 to 15 year repair and you don't have any other problems, it's just a recoat. And I've been told you can recoat a track up to 3 times. And so you can get 25, 30 years by doing a
A
light.
lot of times on those recoats, they'll put more of that stuff down and then they'll just repaint everything.
You know, just off the head on what, just rough estimate on what a recoat would cost.
Well, they got estimated on that Wakefield one, 150,000,
Okay.
but it's a smaller track,
300 meters.
so
And that's also repairing the
concrete. that's-
lots of the base in some areas. That's not just coming in and.
No, there's a
recoat.
couple places that the water has done some damage that, so I would say to do this one up here to recoat it when the time comes, because we just did it. You might be in the 300 to 400.
They did all the track lanes and recoated it for 770.
Yeah, but
And
you're
that-
talking 15 years from now.
Could be. Yeah,
So is what I'm getting at, or even 12 years from now.
Yeah.
You know, You know, it might be double that.
Okay, and then another thing too was the turf. I know we discussed that there at one of the meetings, and that right there, when I was looking here in the improvement plan, I didn't see, maybe it's here and I just didn't.
It's not
see it.
on there.
Okay, yeah, that's what.
No, I really look at us doing that through capital outlay, Dave, of plugging it in that 10-year capital outlay thing.
Yeah, it's not on there right now
Right,
because.
right.
Don't have all the other pieces on there to
Yeah.
see where that might fall.
Correct,
Mhm.
correct.
No, and actually, it would be probably clear at the end of this if it was gonna be on there.
Okay,
And again, we could sell space on the turf like we did for this round to pay for the turf without having to use capital outlay or since that helped pay for the turf this round and they purchased that space with the understanding that it's for the time of the turf.
but we can't always plan on
Yeah,
that.
you can't count on that.
No, but I'm saying that there's other revenue streams to be able to cover for that.
Contingency plan, just, you know, feel like we need to at least.
I'm sure we'll get it on there towards the end of that 10-year.
The another thing that I just want to clarify, the RTU payments, I assume that's rooftop units.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
and that last one of those is in 29-30. So we got 6 more years of that.
Okay.
And that was a $2.1 million deal when we started out. So actually, we're about halfway through it. And if you look on there, you'll notice some rooftop units scattered out of that right now. Those are ones that weren't changed when we did all the other ones, because they were newer units. So we didn't feel like it was time to change them because they're gonna last for another 8 to 10 years. So when we did all the other ones, we didn't include them in that. So we got some that are scattered around a couple different buildings that we'll have to do in this 10-year plan eventually, because they're gonna meet their life. As far as that.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, anything else on the 10-year plan for now? Okay, we're gonna move on. Let's see, for the 25-26 school year, we got some, just some stuff we need to approve to keep things operating. So the recommended for the board action, there's some list of assignments for different people in the district listed to cover different things, and most of that's is building administration and out of this building, and the transportation building is what that covers. Any questions on that?
I have a question on item 9.
None.
It says if the dispatch ceases publication, that the Washington County News would be the official publication. Is the regional not yet qualified to be an official publication?
That's my understanding.
Okay,
I don't know, Dusty, is that your
Yeah,
understanding?
you got the whole paid subscription.
Yeah.
okay, all right, so that's why we'll keep Washington County.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions on that information that's there?
I move to approve the 2025-2026 school year appointments as presented and resolution 7-1425A.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Tracy,
Yes, I,
6-0. Okay, next deal. So you did the gap resolution, or there was another one in there? Andy?
No, I did the resolution.
Okay, so next we'll do policy updates. Got a chance to look at those. They're all listed there individually, but we can pass them all and there's the first item on that is all of them in one. It's red line for what's gonna be changed. Any questions on policy, Trace?
no, I have no questions on that.
I move to approve the policy updates as presented.
Have a motion, second, and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Tracy,
Yes, I,
6-0. Next, I think we have meal prices.
I'll let August explain this one to you. It's kind of her baby and we've talked and strategized a little bit and I'll let her explain why you see what you see.
So in the past couple of years, after negotiating prices with Chartwell's, which we passed the last. We had just raised student meal prices by that same percentage. This year, we thought it was more, well, for one, to change that all, since we pay Chartwell's the same per meal, no matter who is eating, that all students paid the same, no matter the grade level. It was previously K-5 is one price and then middle school and high school are another price. And then we have been operating at a loss for paid breakfasts. So what we paid per breakfast to Chartwell's, the students paid, and what we got reimbursed was a net loss. So last year we upped that price by the percentage that Chartwell's increased our prices, plus added 10 more cents on top of it, which only kind of met us halfway. We were still losing money. So this year we bumped that up. I think about 30 cents, 25 cents. So that was kind of a significant bump, which then led us to keeping the lunch prices the same for middle school and high school and just bumping the elementary, make them all the same, to lessen the cost increase to families. We also opted to leave the adult meal prices the same. And we don't know our reimbursement rates yet, so the calculation of making 2 cents per breakfast is based on keeping the reimbursement rates relatively the same, and then hopefully, probably this week, we'll know what they are, and they should increase at least slightly.
Any questions?
I move to approve the 2025-26 student and adult meal prices as presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Tracy?
Yes,
6-0. Okay, next is technology service for July.
So, I shared some information with you guys previously and then put together in this report. Something that, you know, we have probably over the last couple of years, just again, looking at enrollment, knowing we had bigger classes up in the upper grades versus lower grades across our district. Anytime there was retirements or someone leaving or whatnot, really took that opportunity. We have encouraged our buildings to do this and we've done it here as well. Is there a more efficient way to do something? Can we look at things in maybe a different lens? And is there any way to maybe capitalize on just a change at the time? And so we did have, we had some really good interviews for our IT director position, and we also interviewed service providers. At this time, just with our current staff, we feel like it's an opportunity to utilize some of our current staff and outsource the IT director position. It is a resource group, but they are local and nearby. And we would look at a $50,000 to $75,000 savings. I put that range in there because depending on what projects are taken on, there could be additional project work that we would, I just think moving forward, if we take on a project, I'll use an example. When we did Trip Finder for our transportation department, there was a technology side to it. And it took a few hours of work. So whenever we present something to you that has that side, we would also want to show you what those extra hours would cost to get something established and started. We feel pretty confident that this is a good fit, but we would reevaluate that and give you guys quarterly reports. Our contract would only, we would have a 30-day window. If at any time we think it's time to go another direction, we would have to give a 30-day notice, even though this is a 1-year contract for us. So I guess Brett and I we would be very happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
And I think for me, two things. One, we're kind of looking at this as a pilot. We're very confident that it will work, but in the event, we want you to know that it's not, if it's not working, it's not providing what it needs for our kids and our staff. Then we do, as Jacqueline said, an easy option to shift away, pivot, change, go back to a more traditional approach. And the second thing was, if it does stick and works, it will help reduce the amount we have to reduce next year for the loss of enrollment. So it will help that 50 to 75,000 will come off the amount that we need to find through budget reductions next year, as long as it's a good arrangement, so which will help us overall financially.
Did they say like, how quick can they have like, you know, boots on the ground, so say, you know, between here and all the buildings we have and wait, if we lose internet for some reason or something.
Well, I'll
How
give you an
quick can they
example.
be, how quick can they be here and fix that?
Really quick,
They-
within an hour. Or less,
Well, I mean, okay.
once we identify the problem.
We've got to.
And our problem last week was, I mean, I felt terrible. I was traveling for personal reasons. I think we would have got there a little faster, but
We kind of twiddled our thumbs around here a little bit trying to. So you called Twin Valley, had to figure out if it was their end or our end. Once they said it wasn't their end, we made one phone call and within an hour it was fixed. So, and we weren't even under contract with them yet, so
Right. Okay.
so far so
and
good.
I really think that. And Twin Valley was wonderful help to start with, and this wasn't approved, we hadn't been there yet, so I didn't. Next time, what that took us an hour will probably be a 5-minute phone call, and we'll know if it's us or them, and then we can get going, so.
So they'll take over what, I mean, computers that get broke, things like that, who's gonna do all that? Students' computers to get them back to them as quick as we can.
It just depends. So first of all, Chromebooks, when those are broken, there's really not much to do. When it comes to an iPad or a laptop, we send those off anyways. And there are spares at each building that they can use. There's at least 5 per building that they could issue somebody.
And
and that-
Carly,
Carly is, I tell her she's a little sponge. She is soaking up everything. She's very tech minded. She is moving and shaking all day long, taking care of things. Figured out something we had been struggling with for a few days. She figured it out today and we moved forward. So, she is doing a great job. So.
we'd still look at summer help in the summer.
Yes, we would still keep summer help, and I think too. Inevitably, we will get a set of devices ready for a group of kids that don't show up because they moved or something, made a different choice over the summer. And we'll have just as many new ones coming in, so there's that switching out of devices. We have some people who have worked. Either in our summer help or at other points that we would maybe ask to help that first week of school, help us get some of those devices turned over as fast as we can.
And I mean, just be open, Mr. Weller is gonna help contribute on the pieces where he's good. Spitzmeyer's gonna do what she can, and so they're picking up additional workload, but we're gonna try it.
It, by chance, Jacqueline, is just, like I say, I was reading the contract on it too, consulting agreement. Is this, and I'm not trying to throw this out in any derogatory manner or nothing like that, so please don't take it that, but is this going to throw any other additional constraints on your current duties that you perform in your job? To be able to take on this as to coordinate, communicate activities with,
I know which one you're talking about.
yeah,
No, that's more so just to funnel so that before we go. That we don't call them when there's somebody. Down the hall that knows how to do that, that we call them when we can't do it, or we're busy or whatever, you know, if it's like. what happened last week, we didn't know how to fix that. But a great example, when a projector or TV, we don't need to call them for that. We have people down the hall that can, any of us can go take it, and we just need to do it.
It's TV, just throw it away.
Yeah. So I think on that, they put my position in there just more sort of funnel it. So another example is we'll have monthly meetings. To zoom in with them and share, here's what's on the plate, here's what's coming up. We've also created a work order that we want staff to start using. And that was at their request. Number one, it is gonna help all of us stay organized and marking off who's taking what. But second of all, so they can kind of analyze where are most of our support and help going, and then they can give recommendations. Hey, we could be more efficient if you do this instead of this. So, and that's more just a communication, but there'll be probably 3 of us actually in this office that will have the ability to make the phone call when they're needed.
Okay, and Miss Reed, she'll be one. Correct. Miss
What?
Reed is our technology assistant.
Yes, she will, myself and Matt will be able to give them a call at any time.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Are they gonna be involved or part of the technology committee then too, or?
In some way, yeah, we will, and they will also be supporting our E-rate application too.
And I
So
think,
you have to get input from that committee in order to fill that out, so, yeah.
I think at the end of the day, as we see enrollment numbers do what we think they're gonna do, and if they continue to do that, we're all gonna have to make sacrifices across the district and find ways to be more efficient and more ways to save revenue. Our buildings, every single building did that last year. This building did that last year. This building is doing that again. And I think it's really important that our district and our community sees that this building isn't asking any other building to do what we're not willing to do here ourselves. And the reality is, we're gonna have a few years of that, and it'll be okay. We'll figure it out. We're just gonna have to chip at it every year until we steady out and find where our plateau or our group is, and we'll get there eventually. It's just gonna take a few years, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions about that?
I move to approve accepting the proposal from Techmark LLC as presented.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Tracy,
Yes, aye.
6-0. All right, next meeting, we have budget presentation. We're setting graduation dates before school starts, but.
We've already had calls because people want things.
Haven't even started school yet, and we're gonna graduate. Okay, and then, anything else next month, anybody wanna talk about? That's not listed here, that, I guess get with Brett or Tracy. If you think about something. Agenda, Tiger House and budget approval, future. We have anything executive session? Nothing. So next is personnel. And they're listed there. Any questions?
I move to approve the personnel report, including supplemental updates as presented.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor? Tracy,
Yep, aye.
6-0. Move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0.
Aye.
All right, Tracy, we're done.
Thanks, guys.